Good morning. Oh, we are so close to the end. I'm going to read 3 chapters today, and then we've got, I think, maybe 6 or 7 chapters to go, so we'll finish the next few days. So I didn't really read much last week. I was in school doing lots of activities there. But now I'm at home, we can read every single day. So chapter 36, Easy Peasy Poo. Now Aunt Alberta had her niece exactly where she wanted. She couldn't have been nicer. In the drawing room of Saxby Hall, she wrapped the girl in a big warm blanket and sat her on the comfiest sofa in front of the fire. "There we are, young lady," said the woman, as she handed Stella a large cup of piping hot soup. "We must warm you up for the little issue of the signing of those pesky deedy-weedies." In her heart, the girl knew that she should never ever sign the deed of Saxby Hall to her wicked aunt. But her heart was broken. Stella's body and spirit had been crushed by the past days and nights of terror. With her parents gone and soot trapped at the bottom of the icy lake, she felt she had nothing left to live for. If she sighed now, perhaps this nightmare would be over. "Let me just get you the penny-wenny," said the woman brightly. Stella stared into the fire and sipped her soup. Aunt Alberta returned with a document and a quill made from a huge owl feather and sat next to her niece on the sofa. "You don't need to go to all the trouble of reading it, good gracious, no. It's all terribly tedious," she chuckled. "Just put your signature at the bottom whoppity there. There's a good girly-whirly." Stella reached out for the quill. Her hand was still shaking so much from the cold that she couldn't hold it properly. "Oh, dearest child, let your auntie-wantie give you a helping handy-wandy-pandy." With that, the woman wrapped her niece's hand in hers and slowly brought the quill to the paper. "Let me make this easy peasy poo for you," she added. With one hand she held the girl's shaking hand still, and with the other she moved the piece of paper around until Stella's signature was at the bottom of the deeds. Saxby Hall was now finally hers. Aunt Alberta wept with joy. It was the first time Stella had seen the woman show such emotion. She skipped around the drawing room and rushed over to Wagner, who was sitting on his perch, to give him a big sloppy kiss on his bill. Then she began dancing and singing a little made-up song all about herself. "All hail me, Lady Saxby." After the first line, the song ground to a halt, however, as it was clear Alberta couldn't think of anything to rhyme with Saxby. "Do you know what I'm going to do with this place, child?" "No, Aunt Alberta, I don't," replied the girl, before continuing in a sarcastic tone, "but I'm sure you're going to tell me." "You're right, I am," continued the woman. "First thing tomorrow, I'm going to burn the whole thing down." Chapter 37. Burn, burn, burn. Sitting opposite her aunt in the vast drawing room, Stella couldn't believe what she was hearing. Saxby Hall had been in her family for centuries. "Burn it down? You can't!" "Oh, yes, I can," replied Alberta. "I can do whatever I like with it, child. It's mine now. It's going to burn, burn, burn. And as soon as it's a pile of ash, I'm going to start building the world's largest owl museum." Stella thought for a moment before she asked, "Are there any others?" "No, that's why it will be the largest." Stella couldn't quite follow her aunt's logic, but now there was no stopping the woman. From a nearby shelf she pulled out a huge rolled-up sheet of plans and presented them proudly to her niece. "I have been working on this for years. Lady Alberta's owlium." The plans showed a vast owl-shaped concrete building with various different rooms. These included an owl cinema. This is for the showing of owl-related films only, though none had actually been made yet. an owl cafe, selling treats made purely from owl droppings, e.g. owl dropping flapjacks, owl dropping pate on owl dropping toast, owl dropping chocolate truffles, an ideal gift for an elderly relative you might want to get rid of. A huge library containing all the books written about owls over the years, all 7 of them. An owl grooming salon, 3 types of toilet, gentlemen, ladies and owls. A lecture hall where Aunt Alberta could make 4-hour-long speeches about the history of owls. A gift shop selling owl bookmarks, thimbles, stationery sets, porcelain figures, key rings and lawnmowers, plus a huge selection of gramophone records of twit-tooing. An owl-free room. This room was designed for those visitors with 0 interest in owls. It would have an owl in it. "My owlium will make me a fortune," proclaimed the woman, just getting it into her flow now. "Millions of fellow owl enthusiasts would come from all over the world." Millions, thought Stella. The girl was pretty sure it was only Aunt Alberta who was a fully paid-up member of the official owl fan club. "The visitors will enter here," said the woman, pointing at the entrance, "where they'll be welcomed by a solid gold statue of myself." "You are completely crackers." "Oh, you're too kind. Praise, praise, praise," replied the lady with a smile. "Once through here, you'll be able to feast your eyes on every single species of owl from around the world, stuffed." "Stuffed?" asked the girl. Wagner's ears pricked up at this word. "Yes, child, stuffed. Owls are much better behaved when they are stuffed. There, in the centre of the owlium, in a huge glass case, will be my beloved Wagner." The bird started squawking now, and jolting around violently on his perch. "The largest great Bavarian mountain owl ever seen in captivity, stuffed under glass for all eternity." Stella couldn't help but notice how violently the bird was reacting to Alberta's plans, almost as if he understood every word she was saying. So she pushed her aunt further. "So I imagine you were going to wait for Wagner to die of natural causes?" "Oh no," replied the woman. "He'll be all old and grey then. No, I will shoot him first thing tomorrow, stuff him in his prime." Wagner was now frantically circling the room at speed, squawking like crazy. As Alberta returned her attention to the plans for her owlium, Stella thought all this might be enough of a distraction to slip away unnoticed. She started tiptoeing out of the drawing room. Just as she had reached the door, Alberta barked, "And where do you think you are going?" Stella was becoming very jumpy now, but tried to make what she was saying sound as casual as possible. "Well, I was just going to pop upstairs, quick bath, maybe finally get changed after this night dress, think about making a move." "Well, you're not going anywhere, child," replied Aunt Alberta, her voice suddenly taking on a deeply menacing tone. The girl looked into her aunt's black eyes. No, she stammered. "Oh no, you know far too much. I have been arranging another little accident, especially for you." "An accident?" "Yes," Aunt Alberta smirked. "And this one you definitely won't survive." Chapter 38. The Perfect Murder. The evil auntie had masterminded an elaborate end for her young niece. "You can't get away with this!" cried Stella. "Oh, yes, I can, child," replied Aunt Alberta softly. "It's the perfect murder, because the murder weapon will simply melt away." "Melt away?" Stella was baffled. "What on earth do you mean?" "Come with me, and I'll show you." The woman grabbed the girl by the hand and led her out of the drawing room and onto the long, sloping, snow-coated lawn. At the end of it, casting a huge shadow, stood Aunt Alberta's sculpture in ice. "My snow owl," declaimed the woman proudly. It's finally finished. Beautiful, isn't it? Why are you showing me this? Asked the girl, shivering from the cold once more. Because in a few moments, this snow owl is going to topple over and crush you to death. I will call the police immediately to report you missing, but they won't find you until the spring, when the murder weapon will have simply melted away. Quite brilliant, aren't I? Sick, more like, replied the girl, struggling as hard as she could to escape the woman's strong grasp. Alberta looked down at her niece and smiled a sinister smile. Go on then, child. Run for your life. She let go of the girl, who fell to her knees. Now Stella was crawling through the snow, desperate to get to her feet to make a run for it. But the snow was deep, and she was cold and tired, and didn't have any strength left. Aunt Alberta rushed around to the other side of the snow owl and rested her shoulder against it. And with all her might, she began to push. Just then, Wagner dive-bombed his mistress from high in the sky. The giant owl clawed at her, trying to make her stop. Stella realised she had been right. He must have understood when Alberta said she wanted him stuffed. Wagner! Wagner, what is the meaning of this? Screamed Alberta. But the bird kept on trying to pull her away, so the large lady punched Wagner as hard as she could right on the bill. This sent the poor owl spiralling down to the ground, unconscious. The wicked woman went back to pushing as hard as she could at her snow sculpture. Slowly but surely, the huge figure began to topple over towards her niece. Goodbye, Stella, she called out. The girl looked up. A huge mass of snow and ice was falling towards her. In an instant, it was going to crush her to death. No, cried the girl. Smash! Just then, Stella felt herself being knocked high up into the air. Whoosh! Gibbon had crashed slap bang into her. The ancient butler had travelled down the long sloping lawn at speed, standing on his silver tray, much like he had accidentally invented snowboarding. In one hand, he held a hot water bottle, in the other 2 champagne flutes. The finest Dom Perignon, sir, he announced. Without knowing it, the butler had saved the young girl's life. Quite by accident, Gibbon had knocked her clear of the falling snow owl. Stella landed on the lawn with a thud. Thank you, Gibbon, said Stella, more than a little dazed, as she sat up in the snow. But the ancient butler merely shook himself down, completely oblivious as normal. It's frightfully hot in here, sir. Before I go, shall I open a window? Oh, go on then. I'll read one more chapter. Chapter 39, The Big Bad Wolf. Aunt Alberta was now lying face down in her snow owl, having fallen on top of it. As she slowly rose to her feet, her face went a furious red. She started wading across the lawn and through the deep snow towards her niece. Her anger had given her a powerful energy. Even though the snow was up to her knees, Alberta's pace was quickening all the time. The little girl dashed towards the hall's front door. Her aunt had left it ajar. Just as Stella had bolted it shut from the inside, Alberta started thumping on the door. Bang, bang, bang. The door shuddered with the force of her heavy hands. Alberta pushed open a letterbox and called through it, little pig, let me come in. The girl took a step back from the door. No, never. Then I'll huff, and I'll puff, and I'll smash the door in. There was an eerie silence for a moment, before Alberta returned with a huge snow shovel. The woman huffed and puffed as the spade crashed through the heavy door, crash, sending splinters of wood flying. Stella took another step backwards. It was only a matter of seconds before Aunt Alberta was going to completely demolish the door. The girl had to think fast. The fireplace. Alberta was far too fat to fit up there. so Stella made a run for the nearest one, situated in the dining room. As Stella raced along the corridor, she heard the front door slam off its hinges and crash to the floor. Alberta stepped inside the house. "Come to the big bad wolf," shouted Alberta, wielding the shovel above her head like a weapon. The girl darted into the dining room and dashed up to the fireplace. Just as she was disappearing up the tunnel, snatch! Alberta grabbed her by the ankles. Stella looked down to see her aunt lying at the bottom of the chimney, staring up at her. As the girl struggled, she dislodged a mass of soot that had been stuck up the flue. It dropped down onto Alberta, filling her eyes and mouth with a thick black dust. "Arrgh!" she cried. As the evil woman choked, she couldn't help letting go the grip on her niece. As soon as her legs were free, the girl hurried up the chimney. Soon she was out of reach of her awful auntie. "You can't escape," snapped Alberta. "I know just how to deal with nasty little children who climb up chimneys. I've done it before, and it works an absolute treat. I'm going to light a fire." And we'll read the rest of the book tomorrow. Have a lovely day.